4, 3, 2, 1.
Studio Classroom is Please stand by. Studio Classroom is on the air.
Hello and welcome to Studio Classroom on the air. It is great to see you here today. My name is Gabe.
And I'm Anne-Marie. Glad you could be here. Gabe was just telling me about his experience after a terrible typhoon in 2001, was it?
Exactly, yes, Typhoon Nari. Actually, I was visiting Studio Classroom for the first time just out of high school. And that day when they were filming the teaching for Studio Classroom at Coffee Corner, the power went out.
Oh.
And there was a storm that was brewing outside, and it turned into this typhoon that lasted the whole weekend. And this typhoon, it flooded the streets right outside of Studio Classroom.
Oh, that sounds pretty dangerous.
It was. Actually, a few people's lives were in danger.
Wow.
But thankfully, they survived. But our basement and a lot of the equipment did not survive.
Oh, from the amount of rain that fell?
Because it flooded. Because at the time, we didn't have any floodgates, and the gutters, they started to overflow. And basically, yeah, the basement got completely flooded. It flooded up until maybe knee height on the first floor.
That doesn't sound good for the equipment.
No, not at all. So millions of dollars worth of equipment was ruined because of this. And it was a flooding issue, but it was also because of the gutters and partly had to do with the sewage system as well.
Well, speaking of backed up sewage, that's what we are going to be talking about again today, or rather, a city's hidden network of pipes that keep sewage under control.
That's right, it's very important. So take out those magazines. Today is a great day to learn something new.
Let's do that together.
a city's hidden network. While wastewater collection and treatment are critical to the health of urban residents, storm sewers also play an important role in the city. Green space has given way to concrete during the island's rapid development and extensive building projects over the past few decades. As a consequence, there has been a loss of the land's natural water retention, as concrete cannot absorb rainwater. When an extreme weather event, like a severe storm or typhoon, unleashes heavy rain, storm sewers must cope with the water, so it does not flood the city. However, storm sewers are only part of the equation for water management and flood prevention.
Hello everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 我们先来看 extensive 这个形容词，它的意思是大面积的、广泛的。譬如 The extensive development of agricultural land into housing projects has caused many problems. 农业用地被大量的开发为住宅的计划已经造成许多的问题。或者是 Extensive research on the disease is being carried out. 针对这个疾病正在进行广泛的研究。Extensive 的副词是 extensively。例如 The brothers got to travel extensively in Southeast Asia last year. 这两兄弟去年在东南亚四处旅行。接下来看 unleash 这个动词。Leash 原来呢是指牵动物用的绳子或链子。Unleash 就是把绳子或链子松开的意思。譬如 It is against the law to unleash your dog in the park. 在公园里遛狗不系牵绳是违法的。但是 unleash 在今天的课文中呢是指突然释放。譬如 When water from the dam was unleashed, the village was flooded. 当水坝泄洪时，村庄都被淹没了。Unleash 也可以用在情绪的爆发，例如 Bob unleashed his anger on his kids and sent them to bed hungry. Bob 把怒气宣泄在孩子身上，让他们饿着肚子上床睡觉。Okay, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you so much, Jack. All right, well, let's learn something more from our city's hidden networks, friends. While wastewater collection and treatment are critical to the health of urban residents, storm sewers also play an important role in the city. There are several things we want to talk about here. First of all, if something is critical to something else, we're not talking about the idea of a person being critical of somebody else. That means maybe you have a lot of opinions, maybe they could be negative opinions about somebody else, right? But if something is critical to something, that means it's very important for that thing.
The word here reminds me of another word, essential. It is essential to something else.
Or vital.
Or vital,
Yeah.
That's right. It is extremely necessary. And we find out here wastewater collection and treatment, they are necessary. They are essential to the health of urban residents. Well, for a moment here, let's talk about what the word urban means and how that might be different than suburban.
Oh, I'm glad you chose the word suburban to contrast it with, as opposed to rural. We usually compare the words urban and rural, that is, living in the city or living out in the countryside. But urban and suburban are a little more closely related, right?
That's right. Well, if you live in the suburbs, it means that you live outside of the city center, right?
Yeah, outside of the city center, but you're not out in the countryside, right? And in a city like Taipei, it's kind of hard to say that there are a lot of suburbs. I don't think there are a lot of suburbs in Taipei.
No, not really.
But in a lot of towns in the United States, for example, or cities, there will be the city center, and then there will be the suburbs, which is usually where the people live or the residential areas are. Those are usually in the suburbs.
That's right. Well, there's something else in this sentence that we want to look at. We read here that storm sewers also play an important role in the city. To play an important role in something, that's a really, really great phrase for you to know, friends. Gabe, what does that mean?
Well, when I see the word role, I immediately think of acting and drama and movies because this is the word we use for a character or an actor playing a certain character, right? They have a certain role in that show. And so the idea is the same here. When something is playing an important role, that means it's got a very important part.
Yeah, for example, parents who are present play a really important role in their children's lives. They have a lot of influence on them, so it's important that parents are present. They play an important role.
Who plays an important role in your life, friends? Talk about that in English. We continue here. Green space has given way to concrete during the island's rapid development and extensive building projects over the past few decades. Although I'm sure that these building projects have been quite expensive too.
I bet both words would work in that situation. Yeah.
Exactly. But we do see those words given way to in the middle of this sentence, right? When I think of green space, I think of grass and trees and fields, and those are being replaced by tall buildings, right? That's the idea with this phrase. If one thing has given way to something else, it's been replaced by something else.
And there's consequences to this. We see in this next sentence, there has been a loss of the land's natural water retention as concrete cannot absorb rainwater. And the word absorb means to take in. So concrete, if it can't absorb rainwater, you can imagine all the water that would be laying around in a city. So many things are made of concrete, right? Sidewalks and roads.
And it is an issue for basketball players who just want to go out and have some fun. After a rainy day, it's not very pleasant to play on a concrete basketball court when it's recently rained. There's a lot of puddles there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's something in this next sentence as well. We see the word extreme weather, and then we see the phrase severe storm. What's the difference between saying extreme or severe?
Oh, that's a great question. I think we can use the word extreme basically when talking about weather in general. It's extreme weather, right? But we would use the word severe when talking about a specific type of weather, like it's a severe typhoon. I also use the word severe when talking about something painful, like a headache. I have a severe headache.
Oh, yeah, that's right. All right, well, we have more to finish up in our lesson in just a moment, but right now it's time for us to learn something new in today's Info Cloud.
Welcome to InfoCloud, friends. Hey, Andrea, have you ever gone somewhere and received the royal treatment?
Oh la la, the royal treatment. You are talking about a manner of acting or treating a person with a special VIP status, right?
Right, Andrea.
Okay, well, I'm not sure.
Well, if a person is getting the royal treatment, it means no expense is spared for their comfort and enjoyment.
I see. Well, what sorts of places will you often hear about people receiving the royal treatment?
Good question, Andrea. Often you'll hear people talk about an experience at a hotel where they receive the royal treatment. Valet parking, room service, spas, massages, luxurious rooms and suites. That sort of thing.
Right. Or, for instance, at a restaurant whose waitstaff or kitchen or the chef prepares off-the-menu dishes for special guests and offer the royal treatment.
Another example is flying first class.
Oh, of course. When you fly first class, the airline makes sure that you're getting their royal treatment. Fancy meal services, comfortable seats that recline into beds. It really is the royal treatment.
当你在某个地方享受非常顶级的待遇，你可以用今天分享的用语 the royal treatment 来称呼它。Royal 是皇家 ，treatment 是待遇 ，the royal treatment 就是皇室般的待遇。这可以用来称呼某些地方的顶级服务，例如 We received the royal treatment at that hotel. 我们在那家饭店享受到最顶级的服务。这当中可能包含代客停车、SPA、按摩、美食、最奢华的套房等等。另外一个例子是出国旅游时搭乘头等舱，也会享受到 royal treatment。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Welcome back to Studio Classroom. We are learning more about sewage systems today in a lesson called A City's Hidden Network.
Earlier, we learned about a problem in many modern cities, and that is concrete.
Yeah, we don't usually think about concrete as a problem, but it cannot absorb water.
And that's where the storm sewers come in. They help prevent floods.
But they're not the only things preventing floods. Let's find out more about that right now.
A city's hidden network. To reduce flooding, an integrated urban drainage management plan has been adopted, where all the factors, storm sewers, land planning, and economic development are considered together. Engineering innovations, additional flood detention facilities, and increased green space requirements in new development projects have improved water retention in cities. Who knew that sewers help improve urban public health, prevent urban flooding, and boost environmental protection? Together, they protect vital water resources and maintain the safety of people and property.
好，接下来来看 drainage 这个名词，意思是排水或是排污系统。譬如 The city's drainage system is not sufficient to meet the needs of the people. 这个城市的排水系统无法满足大众的需要。或者是 The drainage pipes in the eastern part of the town are not working properly due to their age. 这个小镇东部的排水管由于年代已久远，所以无法正常运作。Drainage 也指排出的液体，譬如 The drainage from Helen's eye was yellow, so the doctor knew something was wrong. Helen 眼睛流出来的分泌物是黄色的，医生就知道 有问题了。最后来看 boost 这个动词，它的意思是促进或是提升。譬如 What are the plans to boost sales of this product? 这个产品的促销计划有哪些呢？或者是 The team's confidence was boosted after they won their first 2 games. 在赢得前2场比赛后，整个球队的信心大增。Boost 还有由下或是由后推的意思。譬如 Brian boosted Greg up and over the wall. Brian 推了 Greg 一把，把他翻过那座墙。All right, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you so much, Jack. All right, let's finish our lesson about the sewage systems in our cities. To reduce flooding, an integrated urban drainage management plan has been adopted where all the factors, storm sewers, land planning, and economic development are considered together. So this sounds like there's a lot of different aspects of civil engineering going on at the same time. We're not just dealing with pipes beneath our streets.
It sounds like it would take a lot of different people with a lot of different talents to get this to all work together. Engineering innovations, additional flood detention facilities, and increased green space requirements in new developmental projects have improved water retention in cities. So we see this word retention, and we did see this word first earlier in our lesson today, but we also saw the word detention. So what is the difference between detention and retention?
Well, we could use both of those words in different contexts because
Right.
detention usually makes me think about high school.
Okay.
And at least in the West, if you did something wrong in class, then the teacher might put you in detention. That means you have to stay after school when everybody else is going home or doing different things.
So that sounds like a negative thing.
That's a negative thing. Well, and here, flood detention, the detention is the noun idea, right? But then the verb is detain. So the idea is that these floodgates or this management system is stopping the water from doing something right now.
The floodwater doesn't necessarily want to stay there. It's trying to get away.
Exactly. And there will be a time for that. But humans can control this, okay? So they're detaining the water for the moment. Now, retention is the idea that we talked about earlier of absorbing something. The idea of being able to absorb and hold something, so you retain it.
All right, well.
But can we also use the word retention and retain when talking about school and education?
Oh, yeah, especially when you're talking about knowledge. Like if you've memorized a long list of words, you could ask yourself, how many of these did I actually retain in my memory? Do I actually remember them? Am I holding on to them? Can I recall them later?
Yeah, exactly. Well, friends, let's continue here. Now you know the difference between detention and retention, to detain or to retain something. Who knew that sewers help improve urban public health, prevent urban flooding, and boost environmental protection? Who knew? So this gives me the idea that it's not something that we usually think about. And if we're not sure who to thank for all of these things, well, now we have our answer.
Yeah, I've used this phrase before when I've learned something new or I find out information that I didn't know before. I'll say, oh, who knew? And of course, somebody did know that information, but maybe it isn't something that is widely known.
Yeah, exactly. That restaurant, it just doesn't look that great from the outside. Who knew it had such delicious steak, right? So there's a fact that's a little bit surprising when we use this sentence structure or this question. Think of another way to use it. Who knew? Well, we read here, together they protect vital water resources and maintain the safety of people and property. Okay, there's another word that also reminds me of the word retain, because you can retain something, that means you've absorbed it and you're holding it, or you can maintain something. That means you've got it now and you're going to keep it for a while.
Yeah, and if you're maintaining something, it gives me the idea of keeping something up or keeping it going.
Yeah, for example, like your car, right? You can't just, drive it and then never take it in for maintenance work.
That's right.
You want to make sure that you're maintaining the things that you have. Well, right now it is time for us to see how the word boost is used in a skit.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you tired and weak? What about you, ma'am? Are you tired?
Well, yeah, sometimes.
Then try our new vitamin drink, Boost.
Will that increase my energy?
Yes, Boost will give you a boost.
Well, okay. I'll try some.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Wait, what about your car?
My car?
Yes, is your car getting old and slow?
Well, sometimes.
Well, then try Boost for your automobile.
Boost will help my car?
Yes, just pour it into your gas tank.
Well, okay.
There you go.
I'll try some.
Thank you very much. Oh, I know. What about your dog?
My dog?
Yes, is your dog lazy and tired?
Oh, yeah, sometimes.
Well, give your dog some Boost.
Really, will that give my dog a lift?
Yes, it will give your dog a boost.
Well, okay. My dog will love it.
Thank you very much, ma'am. You won't be disappointed.
Well, thank you.
Wow, that lady just gave my wallet a boost.
Well, I want to take a look at something from our lesson one more time. The line, who knew that sewers help improve urban public health, prevent urban flooding, and boost environmental protection? Sewers do all of this, and yet it's something we don't really think about too much because it is out of sight, out of mind. In fact, we take them for granted. Is there something else in life that we take for granted like this?
Well, the thing that I thought of was the public library.
Okay.
It is something that almost every community has, and there are so many great resources and books there. It's a place that has air conditioning, it's quiet, it's free, and yet a lot of times I forget to use it or I forget that it's there.
Yeah, Anne-Marie, I just recently started borrowing books from the library, and I love it. And I love that you can go online, and if a book is not at your local library, you can have it shipped from the other libraries in the city.
That's such a great service. My husband brings my daughters to the library quite often, and I don't usually go with them, but I did a few weeks ago. And while I was there, I was like, wow, this is great. I forgot how great the library is, something that I take for granted.
It's pretty nice. What about roads? I mean, we have so many smooth paved roads here. I've been to different countries, different places around the world where the roads are not nearly as developed, and a trip might be pretty, it can feel pretty painful driving down some of those roads.
Yeah, roads are one of those things that you don't think about being good or bad or existent or non-existent until you're on a bad one.
Exactly. Another thing I love about living here is that it's the sanitation system. I mean, they're so good about keeping trash off the streets, and and I love that it's kind of a community thing, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody is encouraged in our city anyway to make sure that you're separating all the different types of trash that you have so that it makes their jobs easier as well. Yeah, there are a lot of things in life that I think we take for granted.
That is such a good point. Friends, what is something that you take for granted? Talk about that in English, and we will see you next time right here on Studio Classroom.
A good friend lasts a lifetime. I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.